Do you think success will just happen? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by CATS Consultants and Chiro Health USA. Today, in the studio, myself, Dr. Michael Perusich, and Dr. Troy Fox. Troy, this is a great topic because we hear this all the time. How come success won't happen for me? How come success hasn't happened yet? How come I didn't just walk out of school and I'm successful?
You know, I think Kevin Kisner coined it best. And if you guys don't know who Kevin Kisner is, he's on TV now as a sportscaster for golf, but he played golf for years at a highly professional level. And he has a foundation, and he had hats that were you could give donation and get these hats, and they were the coolest hats because they really coined where we're at as chiropractors when we're trying to achieve success. And you know what Kevin Kisner says about success? This ain't no hobby, boys.
Yeah,
and
it's work.
Here's a guy working at the highest level of professional golf with no guaranteed paycheck every week. Gosh, that sounds familiar, right? We don't have a guaranteed paycheck. And he says, this ain't no hobby. I think sometimes we believe that if we just sit there long enough, it'll fall in our laps. And I don't believe that to be true.
No, it takes a tremendous amount of work. It takes a tremendous amount of intention. It takes having the right business plan. And more than that, it takes the ability to know when you're going down the wrong path and to turn gears, switch gears, and turn the ship around and do something different. You have to own up to your mistakes. You have to be constantly involved in it. There's nothing an entrepreneur shouldn't want to do that will lead to success. I don't care how early you have to get up. I don't care how many books you have to read, how many coaches you need to hire. You've got to put yourself in a position to be successful, and it requires a lot of hard work.
And I don't care how uncomfortable you are. The problem is what I hear, and I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second, because I hear some of you saying, well, I don't want to do that. That's embarrassing to do that. I can tell you that back in the day, I did things that I didn't really find a lot of fun. You know, you guys don't have to do a ton of go sit at Walmart spinal screenings nowadays. Back in the 90s,
right,
that was the thing. We would sit out there all day. And you know what? I would get the old hand to the face every once in a while. I'll take a pass, or no thank you, or, you know, before you even said a word, they're already putting their hand out. It's like, oh my gosh. Or, oh, what kind of doctor are you? I'm a chiropractor. Oh, you know, we experienced that back in the day. And you know what? It was uncomfortable. But you know what? I also ended up with some of the most successful patient stories ever from people that encountered me at Walmart. I also it got a lot of success stories from people that encountered me when I went and walked and went to every business in my small town, a town of 10,000. So there was a robust main street. Every business on that main street, and walked in and passed out my card and introduced myself. Was that uncomfortable? Oh my gosh. I am not one of those gregarious. I love to speak to groups, and I have fun talking to my patients. You put me in that type of situation, it's like somebody was pulling my fingernails off while I was doing it, but I did it. It's not about your comfort level. But guess what it is about? Do you want to be successful, or what's more uncomfortable? Sitting in your office with 0 patients coming in the door, or going out and talking to some people and introducing yourself? Oh my gosh, it's so scary.
We need to take a quick break, but I want to come back and I want to talk about comfort versus success. So we're talking about the road to success and how you have to work at making it happen. In other words, the road to success is always under construction. Somebody said that. That's not my quote, but we'll be right back after this. We're gonna jump into this topic a little bit deeper.
In today's economy, every dollar counts. Families are facing tough choices, having to reconsider what was once essential to them. But when it comes to healthcare, no one should have to compromise on their well-being because of financial constraints. That's where Chiro Health USA steps in, the solution for your practice. We understand the financial pressures families are under, whether they're insured, on Medicare, or paying out of pocket for treatment. By offering discounts on care, you can ensure that your patients can still afford the treatment they need. At ChiroHealth USA, we're committed to making sure no family has to sacrifice their health due to financial hardship. We'll work with you to create a game plan that keeps your waiting room full and your practice thriving. And here's the best part. Offering affordable care not only benefits your patients, but also positively impacts your bottom line. So why wait? Join ChiroHealth USA today and join the ranks of the most successful practices. Because when you put your patients first, everyone wins.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. Troy, we're talking about success and whether it happens overnight and whether it takes a lot of work. And you touched on something a second ago before the break about being comfortable. Mm-hmm. And personally, I think if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you better get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if you're not pushing yourself outside of your box, and you talked about doing spinal screenings at Walmart, I did them at Walgreens. And one time I had somebody come up to me and hand me $20 and say, I hope this will help feed your family. They thought I was out there begging on the corner. You know, talk about humiliating. Like you, for every one of those patients, I got 5 patients that loved me and we did great things for. And, you know, those are just the things we did to build our practice. I can remember walking the neighborhood and feeling like a politician because I'm putting door hangers on people's doors and I'm talking to people in their yards. And, you know, I remember one guy asked me if I was a politician. I said, no, I'm a new chiropractor in town. Oh my gosh. Well, that's great. Tell me about your practice. You know, you've got to get out and go to where people are.
Yeah. You know why you were good at that? I'm going to tell you why you were good at that. It's simple psychology. For you youngsters out there that played video games, right? When you started playing the game, there was always a cheat code. You could look it up. My kids would do that online. If they got to a point they'd get stuck, they'd do the cheat code and they could jump ahead in the game or get so many credits to help them or whatever. Folks, we live in a world where everybody thinks there's a cheat code where you don't have to go from start to finish all the way through. You believe that you can actually jump the hard part, and it's not possible. And I didn't grow up that way. So what we did is somebody said, you got to get to the finish line and it's over here. And you put your head down and did it. Even if somebody was handing you $20 hoping to, you should have told them it's 35 for 2 large buckets of chicken, by the way. But you did what you needed to do. You put your head down and went after it. So for you guys that are younger, we paved the way for you guys, by the way, because who's doing spinal screenings at Walmart anymore? Not very many people. We've achieved a level of success that doesn't require that anymore. People are seeking out chiropractors, but here's what you do need. You need a face in the community that you're in. You cannot sit behind your desk and just hope that they come through your door. What did Steve Jobs say? Because I want to relate this to you guys as chiropractors. You guys really are what Steve Jobs just said, and I love this quote. So what did Steve Jobs say about success?
I'm paraphrasing it just slightly.
Yeah.
But he said, I was successful because I'm smarter than you at what I do.
Yes.
And it's true.
That's you guys as chiropractors.
You're doctors. You're smarter than the average patient you're going to meet on the street.
Yeah.
And yet, far too often, I see you guys completely frightened about going out and talking to people.
And then you implode. Yeah.
And so you just sit in your offices expecting the front door to open. And I'm going to tell you, if it does open, it's not going to be a great patient.
Right.
Because the door doesn't just open to the good patients. You have to go out and bring them in. It's kind of like that other quote. We should call this one the quote show, but it's like that other quote about if you want to find success, if you want your ship to sail, sometimes you got to swim out to it. Well, I'll take that one step further. Sometimes you have to build the ship.
Yeah.
Before you can swim out to it.
Yeah.
And so you got to go out and you got to build who you are in people's minds out in your community. That does not happen with you sitting inside your office.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you that if you are going to or are waiting for somebody to hand you that success, you're waiting for somebody to hand you that golden ticket, that pot of gold. I can tell you right now that you're probably going to wither and die on the vine.
Yep.
It isn't going to happen. You're either going to go bankrupt, you're going to end up being a Walmart greeter, which they don't even have those anymore. So I'm not sure what you're going to do because you can't even do that. Or you're going to end up in another profession bitter about chiropractic because everybody else made it and you didn't.
Did you call it a profession?
A profession.
Is that your Kansas accent coming out?
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. You've got, I talked to doctors. I talked to one actually just this morning who said, oh my gosh, you just can't make it in chiropractic anymore. And I wanted to throw something across the room. Like, what are you talking about? There's never been a better time. I know we hear about the Mercedes 80s and all that. There's no better time to be successful in chiropractic than right now. Right now, because, and Troy, you said a little bit ago, we have been pushed so far up on the totem pole of healthcare options in this country, thanks in large part to the pandemic. But you almost, it's like fishing in a pond without bait. There's so many fish in the pond that they just jump on your hook, but you got to take your pole to the pond and put the hook in the water.
The 80s was the gimmicky, let's take advantage of insurance days. And unfortunately, I'm just being honest about this. There was a lot of that happened. Sure. But what you're seeing in 2024 is a genuine want and need for chiropractic care. And all you have to do is be visible to that public. And you have to be endearing. In other words, you have to be approachable.
Yeah. So who are you? Why do they want to come see you?
Yeah.
How can you help them?
That's why also when you're doing your Facebook stuff all the time, if you're not out in the community all the time, you have to be doing things that are not static posts on Facebook. People need to get to know who you are. And it may not be personable, but if you're chit-chatting with them in a very personable way, I'm not telling you that you can still sit behind your desk and never leave your office, but it's a minimal substitute for being out there and personable with the public, as they at least get to know a little bit about your personality. But what does that say? People want to endear themselves to you. They want to know who you are. Most people don't just call because they drove by your office. Sometimes it happens. If you're the only show in town, fine. My little town I live in, I'm the only show in town. Some people call me because they saw my office. Hey, saw your office. I got a patient tomorrow that's doing that. I don't know the person. I've never met them. They don't know me. So this is going to be like a blind date. How many of you like blind dates?
You can even see my practice from the road.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got to have that. You got to have that personable touch.
Yeah. People knew who we were, not because of the sign on the road or they had heard of our office. They knew us because we injected ourselves into the community. Whatever way
you know why we injected ourselves into the community though? Because we refused to fail.
Yeah. It's not an option. It's
going to be a success. It wasn't I remember getting out of school going, I don't have an option to fail.
So if you're sitting in your practice and all you can think about is failure, all you can think about is, I don't have any patients right now. If you're new in practice, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You have a degree that says, I'm a doctor. I have attained a level of education where people will pay me money for my knowledge. But you have to go out and find the people that match your personality well enough that they want to come in and be your patient. Yeah. You'll never find them sitting in your office and sitting there boo-hooing in your office that I don't have any patients and I'm not making any money. It's just not an option. If you want to be successful, you got to get out. And so I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute. If you've been in practice for a while and you're sitting in your office boo-hooing because you don't have any patients, wake up. Because at one time you did. If you're still in practice, you've had some patients, you've had some success. What made that success happen? Go repeat those things. I promise you, it was probably because you got out of your office and you don't want to do it anymore. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to own a practice, I don't care if it's chiropractic practice or a shoe store, you've got to go out and bring the business in the door. So I want to talk about next steps when we come back from this break. And what do you need to do to quit the boohoo, to put yourself on the path to success, and how to keep yourself there?
Yeah, you got to have a roadmap. So let's talk about that after the break.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Pat's Chiropractic Consultants, your partner in chiropractic success. We are dedicated with one-on-one guidance to bring you all your practice management needs. Let's supercharge your practice. Give us a call today.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. We are kind of on our soapbox a little bit today.
Just a little.
About creating your own road to success and that it doesn't just happen overnight. And Troy, we mentioned that we were going to talk about some next steps. So here's my first next step. Make a list of all the businesses that are within 6 blocks of you, 1 mile of you, 2 miles of you, depending on your town and your location. Who is by you? What can you do to go by and just say, hey, I'm here. Here's what we do in our practice. Come over and visit our practice. Check it out. See how great we are. Can I take you to lunch? You've been a successful business person. I'd love to have coffee with you. Whatever your approach is. But go introduce yourself to them. Then the other thing I want you to do is make a list of 2 or 3 civic organizations. One could be the Chamber. Other civic organizations are things like the Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club, the Optimist Club, whatever. Become a member. Become a speaker. Go to those meetings. Talk to the speakers after they're done. Ask them, hey, can I take you for coffee some morning? I just want to hear how you became so successful. Don't walk up to them and say, hey, if you ever need chiropractic care, give me a call. Here's my card. That ain't going to do anything.
Now, here's all
learn about them. That's called building relationships. And when you build relationships, that's where your referrals come from. Go.
Here's also what you didn't hear in step number 1. You notice we said make a list and then make another list. Make a list of the businesses, make a list of civic organizations. What we didn't say is contact Facebook on one of those chintzy ads that says they're going to get you 25 or 30 new patients in the door.
Oh my gosh, nails on a chalkboard.
Here's the thing. We're trying to inject you into the community, not drive you farther away. If you want to do some chintzy junk, you're going to make it even worse.
Quit going after the cold leads. Go create warm leads.
And you can't buy your way out of this. That's the thing. Think about it this way. Think about one of your patients that's in a fight or flight response. Can they supplement or exercise their way out of that? Well, to an extent, maybe they can get a little bit of help. But your patients are a train wreck for a reason because they need their nervous system reset. You know it. I know it. It's not going to change until they do the right thing. So guess what? We're telling you the same thing. Make those lists. Now, if you don't know what to do and it's like, oh, I can't even figure out how to make a list. I know you know how to do that. But if you don't know what to do, you do that and you're still in a pickle. I would say getting coaching is a very positive thing to do. And you may say, I can't afford coaching. Sometimes coaching is a lot cheaper than the alternative of failing, number 1. And number 2, I think it's surprisingly cheap to get the information you need to boost your practice forward so you can start making leaps and strides in the right direction. So sometimes coaching is a proper step. Now, if you're resistant to that and you want to try to just do some of it, we're giving you good advice here, but we have a lot more behind the scenes as well.
We also can help hold you accountable. And all of that, I'm sorry, are you sitting out there telling me that a couple $100 for good coaching that's going to add $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to your practice is a bad investment?
Dude, that's going to cut into my hybrid fund. I'm not going to be able to buy a new golf club this month. I can't do coaching.
You have to start thinking about things as an investment in your practice. So road to success takes work. Part of that work is investing back into your practice. Part of it's being innovative, coming up with new ideas. And I'm telling you right now, you're not smart enough out there to have all the great ideas. You just aren't. So if you want to be a great doctor, you can't be a great business person at the same time. I'm telling you, it's hard. Very few of us can ever make that work. So that's where coaches come into play to help you gain the accountability, gain the ideas, help you innovate, but innovate from a standpoint that makes sense. So you're not repeating mistakes that absolutely will not work. So if you want to be successful, you have to first choose to be successful. You have to choose and say to yourself, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't care if I have to get up early in the morning read some extra books, hire a coach, go join some civic organizations, go meet some people, get out of my office, whatever it's going to take. Tell yourself right now, I want to be a successful doctor. Tell yourself right now, I can be a successful doctor.
And I don't care if you write down, I'm not going to be a loser. You can do it however you want, but you write it down and you put it on your desk. So that way, every time you start being a loser or you start not being as successful as you want, you look at it and you're disappointed in yourself because you didn't do what you knew you could do. That's how you get successful, is by self-analyzing on a very regular basis and realizing where your inadequacies lie. Once you start figuring that out, you can start figuring out how to move forward. But if you stick your head in the sand and just say, chiropractic is something I can't make money at anymore, and I don't care, you must be in an area where people are really utilizing chiropractic. In my area, that doesn't work. You're going to fail. You got to fail every time. That's a whole other show. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is for sure. But that's the roadmap to success, is to get off your soapbox about how bad your practice or chiropractic in general is and get to work.
Make it great.
Because nobody's doing it for you. Nobody's going to hand this to you.
Every morning before your feet hit the floor, say to yourself, I am a successful doctor. Just say it.
Yeah.
Start believing in yourself. All right, everybody. We always appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, other doctors especially. So we appreciate all of you out there. Our podcast is growing like crazy. Go check us out at katzconsultants.com. See all the great things that we're doing. Get some great freebies on there to help you build your practice. So from all of us here at Katz Consultants and on behalf of Chiro Health USA, we will see you next time.
See ya.